do women balance, being like called maybe too aggressive when they try to, take what's theirs, stand on business, and then I think there's a thin line between them being labeled as too aggressive and they being actually assertive.
Yeah. It depends on who it's coming from, right? Something that can be perceived as assertive from a man can be perceived as aggressive from a woman.
I think she has basically said it. I think that one of the ways to decipher between being assertive and being aggressive is by having like your facts right. I mean, this is a show that is emphasizing so much on data.
On today's episode of Girls in Analytics, we'll be discussing how women are navigating their way around the tech space in a particularly male-dominated field, how they are doing well, how they are negotiating, how they are winning, basically. As we previously said in our episodes, this podcast will be mainly for women or girls who are intending to break into the tech space, particularly maybe in analytics, business intelligence, but overall tech in general. So today I have with me Bernice and then Joanna.
Hi.
Yeah. So Bernice, what do you say hi?
Hi.
Say hi.
Hello.
We want to maintain the energy because, as we said, we are taking the spots of the men.
Clock it.
So Bernice has been in the field of analytics for some time now. She's also a certified analyst. Joanna has also been in the tech space, mainly around product management and then, development. So I'll start with Joanna. Tell us something about yourself.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Joanna. I'm currently in a tech space. Honestly, I did not know how I found myself in that space to begin with, but then I'm currently learning a lot. I think some of the basic misconceptions people have concerning the tech space is that you have to be coding, you have to know how to use Java, be able to write codes to be able to enter into a tech space. And I find myself there, and I have no background whatsoever in computer science. So yeah, basically, I'm just a girl who's navigating the tech space.
Nice. Bernice?
Hi everyone, my name is Bernice and I've been working in the tech space for quite some time now, but I'll say I still keep on learning. The tech field is very broad and keeps evolving all the time. So there's always more learning to do. So we're all here to learn, basically.
Yeah, that's true. Basically, for me, myself, I have also been, quote unquote, in the tech space. Where it started from was, I didn't even have the intention to be in the tech space, but it kind of evolved. It's like technology is now imbibed in everything that we do.
Yeah.
So you realize that whatever you are doing, at some point, tech becomes dominant in it.
Yeah.
And then you are navigating. So it requires like...
You need to be tech savvy.
Yeah, you need to be tech savvy. You have to know what is going on in the tech space. And then you have to also develop skills that can put you there. But then Joanna mentioned something about the culture. And I want us to situate women in that culture, right? So currently, we'll say that what are the perceptions that people have when it comes to women being in the tech space or navigating the tech space? What are some of the cultural perceptions that people, or the expectations people have when it comes to women? Because you mentioned something about people thinking that tech is about doing hardcore coding, and people think that those things are very difficult. And of course, men should be the ones doing the difficult things, because women are the
Soft
weaker
ones.
gender. We are soft.
Yeah.
But very well, as I always say, we are taking those spots. Clack it.
Clock it.
So what do you think about that, or what do you have to say to that?
Okay, so I think that from my standpoint, like I said earlier, there's a huge misconception that if you are in the tech space, you're supposed to have like a background in computer science and stuff like that. But then for me, I actively learned on the job that it is not just about that. Aside that, there's also a misconception that, okay, if you're functioning within that space, maybe you are probably doing something like maybe a secretarial work, or you're working probably like admin. It's not like you're working in hardcore tech. But then I've come to realize that the space with tech is that you have to be able to give the solutions that the developers are solving to like the end user. And in navigating those spaces, that's when people who do not necessarily have like a coding background can fit in such situations like that. And so from my standpoint, I think that understanding that you don't necessarily need to have like the hard skill of coding to be able to function actively in a tech space, because everyone is trying to at your core translate the language of zeros and ones into like practical skills that people buy. Because when you actively go on the market, you don't necessarily let them know the flow of how you develop the product. You're basically speaking about how the product is solving the solution to them. So exactly, so it's more or less like having behind at the back of your mind that anyone can function in a tech space. And primarily as a woman, we need your insights, because I think before we started, you were speaking about emotional intelligence, have people not having understanding to your emotions and stuff like that. When you are communicating the solutions to people, you need to understand the emotions that backs the reason. You need to understand why something is not working to be able to actively like commend the solution to them. And so I think women have to dominate that space. Women have to like understand that the fact that they don't have the hard skill doesn't mean that their soft skills will not get them to get the work done. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so this is just to say, in the tech space, more focus is on impact and what you bring to the table than all those
the
coding
gender bias,
skills.
okay.
Exactly, and then difficulty that people see in it. That's not what it's about. It's
Yeah.
about what you bring to the table and what problems you can solve.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, with the skills that you have developed.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So when we say that let's situate women in such a situation, do you think that I feel like or I believe that generally people perceive women to be very emotional.
Yeah.
And then they see that women should be a certain type of way, should be soft, should be cajoled and held like an egg. And so, but that's not how, if you take the corporate space or the working space, that's not how, if you want to get ahead, you have to be, people have to know what you do.
Yeah.
People have to know what you do. People have to see your value. So with that expectation people have for women, right? How do women balance, being like called maybe too aggressive when they try to, take what's theirs, stand on business, and then I think there's a thin line between them being labeled as too aggressive and they being actually assertive.
Yes.
Yes,
That's
trying
true.
to get ahead. So how do you think that women can balance?
Assertiveness.
Yes.
It depends on who is coming from, right? Something that can be perceived as assertive from a man can be perceived as aggressive from a woman, just because everyone thinks that women are more emotional. So I think that, and I believe that to go around this, you need to know your work.
Yeah.
You need to do more research. You need to know what you're about. And when you are addressing a problem or when you are speaking, you should speak firmly, calmly, and try to avoid bringing too much emotions into it, to actually cancel out the aggression that people think that women always come in with. Yes.
Yeah. I think she has beautifully said it. I think that one of the ways to decipher between being assertive and being aggressive is by having like your facts right. I mean, this is a show that is emphasizing so much on data. Instead of women to be speaking with their mouth or with their emotions that, oh, I did this, I really tried, I put so much effort into it. Like she said earlier, it's more or less about the impacts that your work is having. And so understanding the work that you're doing, looking at being able to bridge the gap between expectations and reality, and given factual data. So one of the ways that you could decipher between being aggressive and being assertive is that you need to have your facts right. And then she spoke a bit about emotional, having women being labeled as being too emotional. I think that we should not look at emotionalism as just from the perspective of a bad thing, because sometimes with the moments we bring emotions into a conversation, it seems as if like, oh my God, one is emotional, like it's totally, but that's not wrong. I spoke about emotional intelligence, like to be able to understand what is happening in the room, to be able to read the room, all forms part of bringing a solution. And the whole concept of working in tech is to bring solutions to people, is to make life easier. So one of the ways that you could position yourself is that if you realize that sometimes I do an introspection and I realize that, okay, what is happening right now is I'm having lack of confidence because I feel like I'm not competent. So how do I bridge the gap between my incompetence to be able to stand out and being competent? Is to be able to like note, okay, there's a skill gap, I need to learn this, I need to be able to understand how this works, I need to be able to understand how A, B, C, and D works. So being able to bridge that gap basically would position you rightly. And also when you finally are able to bridge the gap of competence, when you're speaking, right, there would obviously be emotions attached to it, but then you're speaking based on facts. Okay, this was a problem on ground, but I was able to implement A, B, C, and D to be able to execute it. So yes, basically having that at the back of our minds, at the back of our heads would help us to know that, okay, it's okay to be assertive. It's okay to have your facts right, but just know that you have to do so with logical data, because this is a space that is looking for results. It's not looking for, I came to work early in the morning, I've been here since 6 a.m. I don't leave the office early. No one really cares about that. No one really cares about that. What impact are you having is what people really want.
What problems are you actually solving?
Yes. So it's like, basically, if you want to be seen as being assertive rather than being too aggressive, right? One thing that you should consider doing is developing yourself.
Doing more research.
So that if you say something, you know, everybody knows that there's something that is backing what you are saying. I mean, you have, data to back it. You've done research to prove that what you are saying is, and it's not from a place of from an emotional standpoint or an emotional point of view. So it's more like building your confidence, but in building that confidence, you must bridge the gap between like the knowledge gap that you have. So what are some of the problems that women, are facing aside, this assertive conversation? What would you say are some of the problems we face, okay, in this male-dominated field? As a woman, like as myself, what do you think that is? I'll say that sometimes I feel like the men are, they are ahead more than the women. I mean, that's what I feel like from experience, because I work in a space where I'm basically one of the few women in that space, right? And I'm always arguing with them that they also sometimes believe that I'm being too aggressive, actually. For me, it's me being assertive, because I always tell them that I always see the end of something from the beginning. And then they are more of the standpoint like men are curious. Okay, they are curious. They feel like when they want to see how something goes. But me as a woman, I can tell that, oh, this is how this thing will end. But then anytime you bring that up, it's more like you are being an emotional person. And for me, it's been a problem for me in the space that I'm in. So that's one thing. But I just like the feeling of I told you so. Anyways. So you go and you come and you realize that I was right all along. And as they always say, they say that I like that feeling that yes, whatever I wanted, they should have gone with what I was saying. I'm like, well, I did tell you. But if you always see, women are emotional beings, right? But there's the instincts that we have. The way we are created, we are beneficial in every space. I once had a manager who prefers to work with women in a particular space because he felt like they were good at multitasking, like they were good at doing many things at the same time. So it's like they bring a lot of value to the workplace, but sometimes the men, we are not saying that we are too weak and then make everything easy for us, but allow us to also navigate in the space. So
I think another way we can go about it is to just speak with confidence, because sometimes when they sense that you are not confident enough in what you are saying, that's when they want to kind of bring you down or make you feel like you don't know what you are saying. So I feel like competence is confidence in the tech space. Yes. So when you know what you're about, you're confident about it and you speak about it with pride.
And clarity. I don't personally have an experience where I felt like men are having a upper hand or anything of that sort. But I can attest to the fact that having your facts right really goes a long way in helping. And the truth is that regardless of whether it's in a tech space or it's in the house or it's on the streets, you're always going to be seen as fragile. You're going to be seen as you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it happens everywhere.
Yes, they usually want to see like the end result of something before they like they would agree to the fact that, oh, you actually did tell them so. And so I don't think we should even bother ourselves trying to fight that battle. But I do know that if we really are building ourselves in that regard, and if we are being intentional about getting our facts right, knowing what we are saying and being confident in what we are saying, it helps in going a long way of making us distinct, making our voices reliable. And I think one of the bases of emotionalism that comes in here is that because of the trait of emotionalism, sometimes women, we like to use that as a way out of handling or being responsible for we don't want to be responsible for it, and that's why I think most of the men want to come in and say that yes, we just want to, like, I'm just a sub girl, I'm just a girl, like, can you just let's have,
can you blame me?
Yeah, I'm just a girl. But once we realize that it's when we begin to take responsibility, we okay, I made this decision, this was the outcome, I take full responsibility for it. It goes a long way in making them understand that okay, she's manning a game, she knows what she's about. So I think that's what I can see based on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, as we are talking about women and how we can excel and I feel like there's this popular phrase that about women supporting women. I feel like we can leverage more of our network as women and our strength. Maybe in Africa, even in Africa, I mean, it's quite significant, but the women are rising up, and we can leverage on these networks to make allies in the workplace, support each other, help each other with building skills, developing skills, opportunities, and all that. So, when you go as a group, we go stronger. So that's also one thing I'll say, that women can leverage on the network to, build stronger allies in the workplace and dominate their space very well. And then show value.
Yeah.
I like to see it when women are excelling in, the space and, doing all sorts of things. Yeah. So, all too soon, we've come to the end of today's episode. And I would like to know, do you have any last words for the audience before we end?
So what I would like to say is women in tech shouldn't be afraid to enter this space. They shouldn't think it's a more masculine field. Everyone can do it. I mean, look at us. We've done it. So why not? And also, women should network more. I mean, we have a lot of platforms for this, LinkedIn and all that. We can network, we can help each other grow, mentor each other, and make sure that more of us are seen in fields like this.
Seen and heard.
Yeah, I think we basically said everything throughout the entire podcast, but I would also like to add that being able to lift and educate those that are actively in the space. Right now we're talking about getting people to come on board, but even those that are actively inside, we can like be each other's keeper, like encourage each other. If there are any like you said, skill set that you need to put in place, be able to develop, to grow, to emphasize and all that, we could actively do that together to make sure that like we are growing. So I think that's what I'll say for that.
Well, it's been a very exciting episode, and then we'll catch you on the next one.